My name is Nona K. Ross. I am 28 years old, and the moment my relationship ended did not begin with shouting. It began with the smell of garlic, rosemary, and roasted chicken. I had left work early that Tuesday because Daniel had been overwhelmed by his new marketing position. Before he came home, I cleaned the apartment, chilled his favorite bottle of Pinot Grigio, and finished preparing dinner. Ordinary evenings had always mattered to me. I believed love was built through hundreds of quiet moments that most people never noticed. When I heard his key turn in the lock, I smiled. "I'm in the kitchen," I called. He dropped his work bag near the entrance with a heavy sigh. "My boss is driving me insane today." I laughed softly. "Hopefully dinner can rescue the evening." Daniel forced a tired smile. "You're amazing, Nona." He sat at the kitchen island almost immediately, scrolling through his phone. That had become normal lately. His attention always seemed divided between our conversations and whatever appeared on his screen. I ignored the feeling in my chest. For nearly 3 years, I had tried to become the steady person in his life. When we first moved into this apartment, I spent an entire weekend painting every wall beside him. I still remembered missing my older sister's birthday celebration because Daniel wanted to finish before Monday. "This place is our future," he had whispered after kissing my forehead. Back then, I believed every word. Dinner began peacefully. Daniel complained about clients. I told him about changes happening at my office. We laughed once or twice. For a few minutes, everything looked normal. Then his phone buzzed. Once, twice, 5 times in less than a minute. "It's just the office group chat," Daniel said before I even asked. I nodded. Several minutes later, another notification appeared. This one used a different sound. My eyes moved toward the screen without thinking. Hinge. Ashley. "So, when do I finally get to steal you away?" The room became strangely quiet. I looked at Daniel. He looked at the notification. Then he sighed with irritation. "What?" he asked. "Hinge?" He reached over and flipped the phone face down. "Nona, don't start. Since when are you on a dating app?" His expression never showed guilt, only annoyance. "You were reading my notifications." "I didn't have to. It appeared right in front of me." He leaned back comfortably. "I thought we were exclusive." "We are." "Then why are women flirting with you on Hinge?" He rolled his eyes. "You are making this into something ridiculous. I asked you a simple question." Then he laughed. Not nervously, not awkwardly. It was a confident, dismissive laugh that made me feel smaller than I had ever felt beside him. "Of course I'm talking to other women." The sentence landed without emotion. As if everyone should already know that. I stared at him. He continued speaking as though explaining basic mathematics. "I'm not going to limit myself." "What?" "You heard me." His voice remained calm. "You are comfortable, reliable, but that doesn't mean you're automatically the best person for me." I felt every heartbeat inside my chest. "So you're dating other women?" "I'm keeping my options open. We live together. And? We've spent 3 years building this life." He shrugged. "This is how dating works now." I searched his face, hoping for regret. There was none. "I'm not even your only girlfriend?" He smiled with almost unbelievable confidence. "You aren't my best option." The sentence erased 3 years in a single breath. Every sacrifice, every meal, every late night encouraging him through work problems, every promise. Everything became meaningless. Daniel continued talking. "You are safe. You are predictable. But I'm looking for someone extraordinary." He spoke like a businessman comparing investments instead of a boyfriend discussing our relationship. Something inside me became very quiet. I placed my napkin neatly beside the plate. Then I stood up. The chair scraped gently across the floor. Daniel frowned. "Where are you going?" I walked into the hallway without answering. "Nona." His voice grew sharper. "Stop being dramatic." I opened the closet, took my leather jacket, slipped it on slowly. When I reached the front door, he was already standing behind me. "We're still talking." I rested one hand on the doorknob. Then I looked at him for the final time that evening. No. My voice surprised even me. We're finished talking. I opened the apartment door, walked into the hallway, and quietly closed it behind me. I did not take the elevator. I walked down all 3 flights of stairs, one hand sliding along the cold metal railing while my footsteps echoed through the concrete stairwell. My mind was not racing. It was empty. The future I had imagined with Daniel had been wiped clean in less than 5 minutes. I reached my car, started the engine, and drove without choosing a destination. Streetlights passed across the windshield in pale intervals while the city moved around me as though nothing had happened. 20 minutes later, I pulled into the parking lot of a 24-hour supermarket. The bright fluorescent lights felt almost clinical. I grabbed a basket and walked through the aisles. A toothbrush, toothpaste, a phone charger because mine was still plugged into the wall beside the bed I would never sleep in again. A plain t-shirt, underwear, deodorant. Every item felt like part of an emergency kit for a life I had never expected to begin. At the register, the cashier gave me a tired smile. "Find everything you needed?" "Yes," I said. My voice sounded completely normal. That was the strangest part. I drove to the first hotel I saw near the highway. The lobby was beige, quiet, and anonymous. "A room for one," I told the receptionist. "King or 2 queens?" "King." The transaction took less than 3 minutes. Room 214 had no memories in it. No framed photographs, no wine glasses Daniel preferred, no wall we had painted together. Just neutral walls, a generic landscape print, and a bed large enough to make the silence feel enormous. I set the supermarket bag on the desk and sat on the edge of the mattress. That was when the pain arrived. Not as rage, not as tears. It came as a deep ache. The realization that the relationship I thought I had never truly existed in the way I believed it did. Daniel had not simply been talking to other women. He had quietly reduced me to a temporary arrangement. A comfortable place to stay until something more exciting appeared. I took out my phone. There were no messages from him yet. He probably believed I would cool down and return by morning. I opened my banking app first. We had a joint savings account labeled Future. I transferred exactly half of the balance into my personal account. No more. No less. Then I opened social media. I blocked Daniel. I blocked Ashley. I blocked every dating profile I could identify. Finally, I opened my phone settings and blocked his number. It felt less like revenge and more like removing something poisonous before it spread any further. I brushed my teeth with the new toothbrush and studied my reflection in the bathroom mirror. My face looked pale. My eyes looked clear. I had walked away from a lie. That night, I slept badly. But I did not return. The next morning, I emailed the property manager. The lease was in both our names, but I arranged to remove mine at the end of the month. I also contacted my friend Camille, who worked in real estate. "I need a short-term apartment," I told her. "How short-term?" "Long enough to remember who I was before Daniel." She did not ask unnecessary questions. Within a week, I moved into a small furnished apartment across the city. The view was a brick wall. The kitchen barely fit one person. It was perfect. 2 suitcases arrived from the old apartment after I arranged a pickup time while Daniel was at work. I took only what belonged to me. The silence lasted 14 days. During that time, I went to work, came home, and started running again. The rhythm of my feet against the pavement helped clear the last traces of confusion from my mind. On the second Tuesday evening, my phone vibrated while I was reading. The message came from an unknown number. "Are you seriously still ignoring me?" A second followed. It was a joke. "You take everything too seriously." I read both messages once. There was no apology, only irritation that I had refused to play my assigned role. I placed the phone back on the table and returned to my book. A week later, Mark called. He was one of the few mutual friends who usually cared more about facts than drama. "You alive?" he asked. "I'm fine." "Daniel is telling people you had some kind of breakdown." "Of course he is. He says you left because of a misunderstood joke." The joke ended the relationship. Mark went quiet. Then he said, he lost his job. I did not answer. Apparently, he completely failed a major client presentation. He went in unprepared, got overwhelmed, and argued with his boss afterward. I looked toward the brick wall outside my window. For years, I had reviewed Daniel's presentations. I asked difficult questions so clients would not surprise him. I corrected his reports. I rewrote important emails. I calmed him before meetings. I thought I was supporting my boyfriend. I had never realized I was functioning as unpaid staff. He told Mark that he did not have his usual safety net. Mark continued. I suppose that was me. After the call, Daniel's messages changed. The arrogance disappeared. I'm sorry. It was stupid. I was stressed. Then, you were always my best option. I was scared. The contradiction was almost elegant. First, I was not his best option. Now, after consequences arrived, I had apparently always been. I did not respond. The next message abandoned romance completely. They fired me. I cannot pay the rent. I need you. I stared at those 3 sentences. He did not miss my laugh. He did not miss our conversations. He missed rent money, proofreading, reassurance, and stability. Daniel had not lost the love of his life. He had lost the infrastructure that made his life function. I finished tying my running shoes. Then I stood and went outside. His rent was no longer my emergency. His career was no longer my responsibility. The woman he had called a mediocre option had finally stopped carrying all his weight. Daniel's messages became more frequent after he lost his job. At first, they arrived every few days, then every morning, then several times a day. I changed numbers twice, but he kept finding new ways to reach me through email, social media accounts, and mutual friends. Nona, please. I know I hurt you. I was angry when I said those things. I did not mean you were not enough. I was scared of settling down. Each explanation arrived dressed like accountability, but beneath it was the same request. Come back and repair the damage. I never replied. A few days later, his older sister, Melissa, called. Nona, I know things ended badly, but Daniel is not doing well. I'm sorry to hear that. He has no job, and the rent is overdue. That is unfortunate. She paused, clearly irritated by my calm tone. He says you always handled the bills. We split them. You know what I mean. I did. She meant I had made sure everything was paid when Daniel forgot. I had tracked deadlines. I had covered gaps. I had protected him from consequences. Melissa continued. He is staying with me now. He barely leaves the guest room. I hope he gets support. He needs you. No, he needs to learn how to support himself. Her voice sharpened. You were together for 3 years. And during those 3 years, he secretly talked to other women. It was just an app. It was not just an app. It was how he saw me. You are really going to hold one stupid comment against him forever? He did not make one comment. He explained his entire value system. Melissa sighed. People say cruel things when they are stressed. Daniel was not stressed. He was confident. That silenced her for a moment. Then she tried another approach. He told me he thought you understood modern dating. I understood it perfectly. He wanted the comfort of a relationship while shopping for something better. That is not fair. It was his decision. I ended the call and blocked her number. Then the messages from mutual friends began. Mark tried to remain neutral. Daniel really regrets what happened. Regret does not change what happened. He says he wants to apologize in person. He has already apologized through 6 different phone numbers. Another friend, Ashley, was less careful. You are being heartless. He made a mistake. He made a calculation. What does that even mean? He calculated that I would remain available while he tested his options. Ashley went quiet. Then she said, He did love you. I believe he loved what I made possible. That was the truth I had finally accepted. Daniel loved the apartment I helped pay for. He loved the dinners waiting after work. He loved the edited presentations, the remembered appointments. the calm voice that steadied him before every difficult meeting. But love that exists only while someone is useful is not love. It is dependence disguised as devotion. Meanwhile, my own life became fuller. Running turned into a daily habit. The side project I had started, designing custom desks and shelving, slowly became something more serious. A coworker asked me to build a standing desk for her home office. Then her brother wanted one. Then a local cafe owner contacted me after seeing photographs online. For years, I had poured my creative energy into supporting Daniel's ambitions. Now I began using it for myself. I spent evenings measuring wood, sketching joints, and learning how to turn clean lines into something solid and useful. There was peace in building objects that did not lie. 3 weeks later, Daniel emailed from a new work account. I saw your furniture page. You are doing all the things we talked about doing together. I stared at the message. We had never talked seriously about my designs. Whenever I mentioned them, he called them a hobby. Now that strangers valued my work, he wanted to claim a place in the dream. His next email arrived that night. I can help with marketing. You know I am good at that. We could build something together. The irony was almost perfect. Daniel had called me a mediocre option. Now he wanted employment inside the life I created after leaving him. I deleted the email. A week later, he appeared outside my office. I saw him through the glass doors as I was leaving. His jacket was wrinkled. His hair looked unwashed, and the polished confidence he once carried was gone. Nona, he called. I stopped several feet away. How did you know where I work? You have always worked here. That does not mean you should wait outside. I needed to see you. No, you wanted access after I refused contact. He flinched. I'm sorry. I know. I have lost everything. That does not mean you get me back. His eyes filled with tears. I was joking that night. No, you were honest. I was trying to sound confident. You succeeded. I did not think you would actually leave. There it was. The deepest truth beneath every apology. Daniel had not believed I possessed the strength to walk away. He had assumed my loyalty made me permanent. You thought I would stay because I always had, I said. He lowered his head. Yes. I hope you understand something now. What? Reliability is not weakness. He stepped toward me. I understand. Please give me one chance. I already gave you 3 years. Nona, I love you. I looked at him and felt nothing but distance. No, I said quietly. You need me. That is not the same thing. To you, it always was. I walked past him. He called my name twice, but I never turned around. For the first time, Daniel was forced to stand alone inside the consequences of his own choices. And for the first time, I did not feel responsible for saving him from them. 3 months after I walked out of the apartment, I was sitting in the corner of a cafe called The Daily Grind. It had become my unofficial office. The place smelled of roasted coffee beans and warm bread. Soft conversations blended with the low hum of the espresso machine, while rain tapped gently against the windows. I had a pencil in my hand and a folded napkin beneath it, sketching the frame of a custom desk for a new client. The furniture business was still small, but it was growing. So was I. A shadow fell across the table. I did not need to look up immediately. Some presences carry their own tension. Nona. I finished drawing the line before setting the pencil down. Then I looked up. Daniel stood beside my table, clutching the strap of an old messenger bag. He looked smaller than I remembered. The tailored clothes were gone. His shirt was wrinkled, his face unshaven, and deep exhaustion had settled beneath his eyes. Can I sit? He asked. I gestured toward the empty chair. He lowered himself into it carefully, as if one wrong movement might make me leave. For several seconds, he simply stared at me. You look different. I feel different. His eyes moved to the sketch. You are really doing the furniture thing. Yes. I always thought you were talented. No, you called it a hobby. He flinched. I was wrong about a lot. I picked up my coffee but did not drink. Daniel's eyes became wet. You have no idea what I have been through. I said nothing. He continued because silence had always made him uncomfortable. I lost my job. I lost the apartment. Most of our friends stopped calling. Melissa says I cannot stay with her much longer. I heard. You heard? People like providing updates. His mouth tightened. I did not come here for sympathy. Then why are you here? He looked down at his hands. To apologize. I waited. That night, what I said about you not being my best option, it was stupid. It was honest. No. He shook his head quickly. It was a joke. I was trying to sound confident. I had been stressed, and the attention from the apps made me feel desirable. At my expense. I know. Daniel leaned forward. You were always the best person in my life. The words might have destroyed me months earlier. Now they only sounded convenient. You did everything for me, he continued. You kept our home together. You helped me at work. You believed in me when I did not believe in myself. He finally understood my value only after losing access to it. I miss us, he whispered. You miss how your life worked when I managed it. That is not fair. It is accurate. His tears spilled over. I love you. I studied him calmly. You told me you were keeping your options open. I was an idiot. You called me safe, predictable, and ordinary. I did not mean it. You meant it until being extraordinary became uncomfortable. He wiped his cheek. I can change. Perhaps you can. Hope flickered in his face. But not with me. The hope vanished. Nona, please. His voice cracked. You were supposed to be the kind one. I almost smiled. There it was. Even now, kindness meant giving him what he wanted. I am being kind, I said. I am not insulting you. I am not punishing you. I am simply refusing to return. His expression hardened slightly. So, you are going to throw away 3 years because of one conversation? No, you threw them away. I accepted it. It was just a joke. You have repeated that so many times you may actually believe it. Daniel stared at me. Then I remembered the exact words he had delivered so confidently over the dinner I had prepared. You were right, I said. Confusion crossed his face. About what? I was not your best option. His eyes brightened, mistaking my statement for surrender. So you understand? Yes. I leaned back. You taught me something valuable. He waited. I should never remain where I am being measured against strangers. His expression slowly changed. And because I left, I continued, I found a better option. What option? Myself. The answer silenced him. My life now does not depend on someone else deciding whether I am extraordinary enough to keep. Daniel's face collapsed. So there is no chance? No. You do not care what happens to me? Your life is no longer my responsibility. I folded the napkin sketch and placed it inside my bag. Then I stood. Daniel looked up at me, defeated. You have changed. Yes. I slipped on my jacket. And you were right about one more thing. He waited. I should not limit myself. The mirror of his own words struck him harder than anger could have. I picked up my coffee. Good luck, Daniel. I walked out of the cafe without looking back. The afternoon sun had broken through the clouds, warming my face as I stepped onto the sidewalk. I did not feel victorious because Daniel was suffering. I felt free because his suffering no longer controlled me. He once called me a mediocre option. Leaving taught me I was never an option at all. I was a complete life he had been fortunate enough to share. And once he treated that life as replaceable, he lost his place in it permanently.